What's up, family, and welcome to another episode of Ask God See Them Pod. I'm your host, Brian Vay, and y'all, today we're talking about the spirit of rejection. This is something that I've dealt with for a very long time, even before I noticed it. And like I said, I don't talk about anything that I do not experience. The spirit of rejection is something that I think a lot of us experience, but we might not be able to recognize it right away, or we might just have trouble with dealing with it. We may see this thing, but we struggle with overcoming it. We struggle with fighting with it. So the spirit of rejection, I want to just say, it is a stronghold. This is something that it comes to steal your identity, and most of the time it's rooted in our childhood. It comes from something traumatic happening in your childhood. Now for me, that's what it was. It could be most of the time, this is from research. This comes from childhood, right? This could not only come from the house, the home, right? It could also come from school, like being bullied in school. So it really just depends, it can happen in any time in your life where you experience something dramatic that causes you to feel rejected, that causes you to feel like unwanted. And it's a time, it's especially if you've had something repeatedly happen to you where it kind of messes with you, your personality, your identity. It just messes with your self. I want not even awareness, but your self love. It messes with your self esteem. And one of the things that comes from dealing with the spirit of rejection is you may feel the need to always be a people pleaser. Now, when I say this, I don't mean you knowingly. Some of us do. I did for a minute. Even though I knew I was people pleasing, I didn't do anything about it. I'm just like, well, this is kind of how I've known for most of my relationships to go. But the thing about people pleasing is that you'll see this thing and you'll think that you're just being a caring person. You'll think that that's just who you are. You literally would think that, okay, I love to do for people. I love to give to people. So it may not seem like you are people pleasing, but this is something that we have to, I think, address softly. So this is something that you kind of want to pinch at, and you want to you when you do notice it, you kind of want to just do, kind of take the steps necessary, right, for slowly for you to deal with the spirit. So with the spirit of rejection, right, it comes from a childhood trauma. Now for me, it came from being in an abusive home. I was in an abusive home for a while, from ages 5 to 9. So it that's where it rooted from. So it rooted from that abusiveness at those ages. And with me going through that, I did not know how to just deal with that root of it. Like when I felt those things, when a lot of things being repeated to me negative things being repeated to me, I did not know how to deal with that. I just took it, and it hurt it, but I did not have anyone there to kind of like take care of it and help me through that, of what I felt and how I was put down a lot. And I went through a little bit of bullying in school, but I will say that mainly of my trauma came from the home. It came from me being abused as a child. So you have to kind of analyze your life, and you analyze what you've been through, and you may be able to put a finger on exactly where you were traumatized at that may have rooted the spirit of rejection. Now, the spirit of rejection, of course, it doesn't show up as rejection like right off the back. It is doubt, right? So it's someone who has planted a seed of doubt in your life, who has made you feel unwanted, who has put doubt into just in your life, right? Someone who has put you down maybe a lot. People who don't say positive things to you a lot, that's where that seed is planted. So it'll be something you'll feel more, you'll doubt yourself more than anything at first. Then that doubt turns into you just feeling like no one understands you, or you're not really accepted by anyone or understood by anyone, unless, right, you feel like this is what's very scary, because you've grown as children, right? We kind of don't have anything to go back from. We just have our childhood experience to kind of learn from. We don't have anything before childhood experiences. We just have that. So we consider everything that happens in our childhood normal. You don't necessarily think that it's at that time. You don't think that it's something that's not healthy, that's toxic. You don't think that at that time. Now, when you're experiencing that, while that seems normal, you of course know it doesn't make you feel good. You know that you don't necessarily want to feel that way, and that makes sense. So how do you acknowledge when you, like, as you've grown older and you've acknowledged, right, that this may not be right? Like what I went through in my childhood has really affected me, and with specifically the spirit of rejection, it has this put hindrance in my life. Meaning, with me coming from a traumatic situation that placed me in a position to feel doubt, to feel unworthy, to feel unwanted, is this causing me to not reach my full potential now? Do I currently feel like if I try to go for certain things, I won't be accepted? If I try to go for certain things, I won't be good enough. If I try to go for certain things, there's just so many people out there that's so much better than me, it will never work out for me. When you constantly have those thoughts where you're always feeling like you're just always putting yourself down about things. This is how you acknowledge you're operating in the spirit of rejection. Now, I was going here at first, but anyway. So here's the big thing. When you start to believe that relationships are transactional, the spirit of rejection will make you believe that relationships are always supposed to be very transactional. And when I say that, I mean that you probably always feel that in order for you to receive something from someone, you have to give like almost all of you to them. That's the only way you're able to maintain any relationship, is that you, and this is, for me, this is how I figured out, because in my childhood, that's how, anytime I did a good deed for someone, that's when, I kind of felt connected to them, where I felt accepted by them, is if I did something for them. And now, and fast forwarding into now, I saw that this is something that I'm doing in my adulthood now. It doesn't even feel healthy now. As a child, you don't know, but as an adult, you're like, this doesn't even feel right. Like, I feel like I think I'm doing something good, but I think this is who I am. You're confused. It's because it comes to attack your identity, because now you don't even really know what you're like. You don't even have a full intention or relationships, because you believe they are transactional, because you believe that this is just something I do in order for me to maintain a relationship. I do good deeds because this is what I've done to be accepted by people in the past. That is how you know you're operating in a spirit of rejection. And going back to, you won't do certain things because you feel like you won't be accepted either. So you'll do certain things because you feel like you will be accepted, and you won't do certain things because you feel like you won't be accepted. And so that's how you know you're operating in the spirit of rejection. You just have all of that. You deal with all of those things, and people pleasing is tied into all of this. So that's the number one sign that you may be operating in the spirit of rejection, if you are people pleasing. And I know that people pleasing, before it really was said to be people pleasing, it seemed to be something that very, very, once again, very normal. You love taking care of people. You love helping people. That's what it seemed like to you before this was really given a name, right? Before people started to acknowledge this is people pleasing. you will probably think that, okay, I just love doing for people, but you also were thinking, okay, so what am I getting in return? Not saying that the only time that you really do stuff to people is to get something in return, but you were draining yourself dry. You were overextending yourself. I'm speaking from experience. This is what I was doing. I was overextending myself, saying yes when I didn't want to say yes, like tolerating things that I know I didn't have to, just going above and beyond when people were not giving me anything. Like the it's and I'm not just talking about material, I'm talking about emotional. Like when I was giving all emotional, caring, like genuine, like I really love connecting with people. That is something that I know God has gifted me with, is creating connections with people. That is something that I love learning about people. I love hearing about their journey. I love just being in the presence of people and watching them grow. Now, this is also something you kind of have to make sure you're evaluating correctly, right? So you just want to, some people are, good, they just love to give. So I'm not saying if you're a giver and nobody gives, I'm not saying, I want to encourage you to evaluate what you have, with your past, and specifically just your now, right? Evaluate how you and others. I'm not saying test them. I'm not saying any of that, but evaluate what's really going on. It's very important, y'all, that we take a look on our trauma and how it truly affects us. I mean, like deeply, not just look at things and call it what it is, and not call it what it is, but say it is what it is. You have to be you have to, not even, I don't want to say you have to, but I encourage you to want to walk in the most healthiest version of yourself. And I think a lot of people want that, but they don't know how to. And me personally, I believe the only way to do that is if, and only if, you do the deeper work. That's it's no, I don't think it's any other way around that. You have to make sure that you gotta, our normal isn't really normal. We think a lot of things that we've been through as children are normal, and we laugh it off now, but in reality it's truly affecting our generation. That's my intake on it. That's my opinion. I truly believe this because of me going through so much, and me now this is, and I want to make this very clear, all of this inner work happened, and all of this healing took place when I gave my life to Christ, because I tried to heal on my own before giving my life to Christ. I called myself healing, right? But it was very vain. I did not even know like where to start. I kept going back and back, like to old ways over and over again. It was no intention. So if you haven't given your life to Christ, I encourage you to do that today and start digging with him, start digging with God. He wants you to be at your most purest form, right? He wants you to walk very healthy, upright, not pretending to, right? So I just want to encourage you for that, right? So we got our signs of this, right? So if you are operating in this spirit of rejection, you want to acknowledge where it comes from. You want to acknowledge your patterns, your behaviors. How are you acting now? Are you people pleasing? Do you believe that the only way you've been able to maintain relationships right now is by the give and take, right? The give and take method, where only if you give, this person will be around. Only if. So if you were to stop giving this person emotionally, mentally, physically, will they still be around? You have to think about that too. Are you on, like, is it only you who's doing all of this work? Is it only you who's really going above and beyond? That's one way. Another way we notice is, are you not doing things because you doubt yourself so much that you don't even go for things? Like, you don't even go for a lot of things that you truly have the talent to go for. You truly have the potential to go for a lot of things, but you don't go because you're stuck with dealing with the rejection that you felt a long time ago. It's that is what a stronghold is, y'all. The spirit of rejection is a stronghold. It keeps you at a certain area in your life. It wants you to constantly go through a cycle. Anything the enemy sends into your life, it's going to pertain to you being in a cycle. It's going to make you continue to repeat things. Anything that the enemy tries to get you to come into covenant with, it will continue to have you in a cycle. That's what he wants, to keep you in a cycle, y'all. That's what he wants. And he comes for your identity first, because once you have your identity down packed, it's nothing could be taken from you. Nothing could be, it's so much harder to manipulate you and get you to believe his lies. So he targets your identity first. Just imagine all the things that you can do if you believed in yourself more, if you believed in God more, if you trusted God more, if you had more faith. But what's keeping you from that? If it's not the spirit of rejection, it's some other spirit, because you're stuck in that cycle with this spirit because you're not free. So today, y'all, I'm really hoping that you're going to be free from the spirit of rejection and at least start the deliverance process today. Because I truly, and I'm here and I'm in it with y'all, because I'm going through deliverance with this spirit too, y'all. It's hard, especially when you've dealt with trauma. It's really hard, especially when you've dealt with a lot of trauma. So with people pleasing, that's something that our generation, it kind of has made they've made people pleasing a very, I don't know what to call it, but it's something that I think a lot of us today are dealing with. And I think a lot of us are acknowledging it a lot more, but are we doing something about it? I don't think so. I don't think we're really doing something about it. I think we're acknowledging, okay, I'm operating in people pleasing. This isn't what you acknowledge that you're operating in this spirit, but especially if you're not saved, right? You really don't know what to do. It's a lot of the spirits, they have the authority to torment you if you are not under the blood of Jesus, period. Like, they have the authority to, if you are not in covenant with Jesus, the enemy has authority. If you're not under Jesus, if you're not under God's, if you're not in his protection, if you're not in the kingdom, then the enemy has authority. I mean, sin gives the enemy authority. If you're operating in sin, he has authority. So that's why I say when I got saved is when this process really, I started to acknowledge these things. God brought these things. God doesn't want you in no cycle. Jesus said he came here to give us life more full, more abundant. No cycles, y'all. No cycles. Nothing in torment. We're not torment. No. He don't want us. That's not. No. That there will be a fight, right? But no, that is not what he intended. How he intended for us to live in torment. No, we know this. No, right? No. So dealing with this spirit, how do we deal with it? So once it's here, right? Once it's here, how do we deal with it? How do we deal with this spirit? Now, this took a minute for me to even acknowledge. I've been saved 2021. So I want to say, we're in 2024. 25. Oh my gosh. We're in 2025. So around 2023 is really when I started to gain clarity. I say that's my favorite word to use, but not even gain clarity. That's where I started to acknowledge what was going on. Because I felt the cycle. I felt the constant cycle of me constantly going through Same stuff where I was missing out on opportunities because of rejection, because of the fear of rejection. I was missing out on so many things that I truly had the talent for, I believe, and I had the potential for, but I was missing out because I was dealing with doubt. And so what did I do? Okay. So at first I acknowledged it. I said, God, what is going on? I was like, what is going on? Why am I not going like full throttle? Why am I not trying? Like, what is going on? God literally came to me and was like, you are playing small. You're being naive. Yeah, he did. Like, literally. God had given me so many ideas that I did not act on because of rejection, because of doubt. Nobody's gonna like this. I will say though, I did my debut. I do fashion design. I'm not currently doing it, but I do believe God will lead me back into it. So in 2021, when I first got saved, I was able to design my debut collection, right, in Fashion Week. So I will say that, and when I did that, God allowed me to see what I was capable of. I designed a whole collection. Now, here's the thing, I went through a process to even design this collection. I had to interview for this collection. I took designing serious. I had always been into fashion design. I got a mentor in 2019. 2019 is when I got a mentor in St. Louis. And after I got the mentor and I moved to Kansas City, I was like, I really want to take this serious because I had learned the basics. I was like, okay, I feel like I can really do this. And so when I started to take it serious and I got an opportunity to interview for Fashion Week and I did, everything, I got accepted, right, as a designer. I did not at first I was doubting myself so much on designing a collection. I was doubting myself so much because first of all, I was designing a whole collection for Fashion Week. It was my first time even like designing that many pieces professionally with just me. It was just like a lot. But God showed me what I was capable of. Like it was nothing but God that pushed me through to do that collection, because it was my very first time even working like that. I had just got mentored in 2019, and it was 2021 I was designing a whole collection for Fashion Week. And I didn't just put myself in it, I got accepted. So it showed me what I was able to do. And even though I'm not currently doing it now, God showed me that you are capable, right? He showed me that I was capable. But of course, I believe that whatever God has in store for me with that gift, with fashion design, I had to get to the root of a lot of other things in my life, or whatever blessing he's going to give me. I need to be able to receive it fully. So I had to surrender that. He showed me, he gave me a little taste of what that was like. And then he was like, okay, I want you to surrender this now. And yeah, I need to do some work. And I've been doing it, y'all. God has really been working, and it's beautiful. All right. So when I acknowledged this, I was like, noticed that I was in a cycle, right? I noticed that I was in a cycle. I noticed that where it came from, and I saw why it grew into what it grew into. So I was just acknowledging all this. This is God. This is only by the help of God. So I don't want to say, don't go try to do this in your own strength. It's not going to work. I tried it. It's not going to work. You need to be in partnership with God while you're doing this. This is not something you do on your own at all. No, if you are saved, there's nothing you should be really doing on your own. Partner up with God. We don't have it in us to take on as much as we think we really can. Right. So partner up with him. But I acknowledged it. After I got saved, God started to bring a lot of just things I was dealing with up, where I had no choice but to approach it. And after I acknowledged this, I'm like, well, I asked God, what can I do about this? What can I do? I don't want to be in this cycle, right? So just like we know, right, as a plant, right? From the moment you start planting, you want to make sure that you have good soil for these seeds, right? You want to make sure, and most of us we didn't have the good soil. We didn't our the roots, they were not good. So we became pretty much toxic plants where we had a lot of things that was just dead, and a lot of like and what the spirit of rejection does, it will have you at a dead place in your life where you are not moving, where you are not doing the things that you actually could do, because you have that fear of rejection. You have that doubt. You don't know, you don't believe that you are good as everyone else. You don't believe that anyone will accept you, because you don't know how to maintain any kind of relationships really without it being transactional, without overextending yourself. You don't know how to receive any type of like praise from people. You don't know how to receive when someone is actually, is accepting you, because you've always had to do something more to even be accepted. So you really are confused. That is going to have you confused. The spirit of rejection is going to have you confused. You don't really know you don't really know who people are. You don't, because you always had to it was always your work that in your eyes got you accepted by people. And that's one thing with God. That's another thing that helped me, y'all. I realized that it wasn't my work that got me accepted by God. It was his grace. When I learned that how to have a relationship with God, this is bingo, right? That relationship with God is really going to teach you a lot. When you give your life to God and you just be with him and just be in a relationship with him, and he going to start bringing all this, he going to love on you, and he going to bring all these things slowly to the surface. And it's going to be like, hold up. It's going to feel like you went backwards. It's gonna feel like, wait, what? You gonna like but it's nothing that it feels like that because it's not something you're used to dealing with. It's not. And just like I said, just like a plant, right? When you don't have that good, when you don't have that, you don't take care of it at its seed stage, where you watering it like it's supposed to be watered, where you giving it the correct sunlight, all of that. When you don't do that, y'all, it's not it's you are bound to have a dead spot somewhere, right? You're gonna, the growth is gonna stop. That's what happens. The growth stops. So you want to acknowledge everything first. Take it to God. If you are not saved, I will get saved first, then do the work from there. What I would, if you are not saved, I will get saved first, right? Give your life to Christ first. Write down what it is you've been dealing with. Ask God. He sees everything, so he knows what you're going to write down, right? Ask God to help you with everything that you write down, and ask him, where do you want him to start? I mean, where does he want you to start? And you start to evaluate your childhood. That's hard. That's one of the things that's really hard. Evaluating your childhood. That's extremely hard, because especially if you have crazy trauma. But God is a comforter. So whatever those feelings, y'all, that stuff, right now I can't get into the depth of it because it will be longer. This episode will be longer than we want it to be. But you are going to be uncomfortable. I just want to say that, right? Don't go in with high expectations thinking that, because people like to make Christianity look very like a luxury. Like they make it look like, oh, once they give their life to Christ, they get money, they get cars, houses, clothes. That is not how it works all the time, y'all. That's not all it's about either. That's the farthest from what Christianity is about, and giving your life to Christ is about. It's about freedom internally, where you are not bound to things like the spirit of rejection. That's what it's about, where you are free, where you're not in torment. And that's way more than the things that people really try to make you think Christianity about, like money, cars, houses, all that. It's more than that, right? So once you take this, once you've done that, right, you want to confess and you want to say, God, I've been dealing with these things, and you want to just confess, right? So even if you are saved, you want to confess. You want to confess and say, God, I've been operating in this, and I didn't know. I've learned today that I've been operating in this spirit, and I repent, God. I didn't know I was. And God, there's a lot of grace for people when you don't know. When you do know, it's a different story. But you want to let him know, like, God, I didn't know I was operating in spirit. Help me with this, God. I want to be delivered from this spirit, and God will come through. You got to be in it with him, though. Like, don't leave him when you're not feeling it. When you don't feel the deliverance, don't do that. You have to give him time. He will do it in a way that is so soft and gentle, and you will be like, wow. Even when it's uncomfortable, y'all, just keep asking for his help. Just keep asking for his help, y'all. So you want to confess these things, right? You want to confess, and you want to make sure that you are doing it genuinely, right? Do it genuinely, wholeheartedly, fast if you need to, but go to him and confess and ask for his help, right? So we're going to wrap it up, and I want to go ahead and get into our truth and lie. So our lie, y'all, because the enemy is coming to take away your identity. Our lie, right? I'm not going to be able to do the things that I know I can do because no one is going to accept me. I'm not good enough for this, God. I don't know how to do things well as other people do. God, I'm not good enough for this. I don't know how to do this. There's so many people better than me. The only way I have relationships is if I give them my all and I don't get much in return. That's the only way I'll be able to have a relationship. The only time I'm accepted by anyone is if I'm doing something for them. I don't know how to do what everybody else is doing. You're not supposed to. I'm not good as everybody else. I don't have these things that everybody else have. So I don't think I'm going to succeed. Well, let me tell you this. The truth is John 10:10. And it says, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Jesus came to give you life to the full. And the enemy is always trying to steal, kill, and destroy. So in my eyes, the spirit of rejection is coming for your identity. So it comes to steal your identity, which hinders you from living in your full. Y'all, we have got to lean on our truth, or the enemy will constantly steal from us and constantly find a way to get his way. If you are operating in the spirit of rejection, please you have to get delivered from this. But it takes, first of all, if you're not a believer, give your life to Christ. Write down what it is that you are dealing with. If you are a believer, write down what it is you are dealing with. Confess, take it to God and ask for him to help you with this. Ask for him to deliver you. It's not going to be comfortable, but you'll be free. So y'all remember, it's not what the world sees. It's what God sees. I love you. Bye.